what's up, Cal? Welcome to Small Group. It's me, Steve. I wish I could have been with you guys tonight. I'm really genuinely bummed not to be able to be at small groups tonight and at Cal tonight. It bums me out, but I know you guys had a good time. I know Cal was awesome because you guys are great, and Laurel and Tracy and all the rest of our leaders are awesome. So I trust you guys all had an awesome time and played cool games and did silly things and all of that. And I look forward to being back with you next Wednesday. Are you guys excited about karaoke? Yes, I just assume everyone's yelling at the camera. Yeah, karaoke, woo! I'm excited about that. Looking forward to that coming up in a couple weeks. Tonight is our small group launch. I know we met with our small groups briefly last week, but tonight is the night that we get with our small groups. We get to sit with our small groups for a long time. Something that we're talking about for these first 4 weeks of Cow is we're trying to give you a glimpse into what Cow is all about. We're saying we're back, Cow is back, but back to what? What do we want to be back to? What do we want our Cow community to be all about? Tonight we're going to talk about the second big thing that we're always about. Last week we said Cow is about fun. Second week, Cow is about community. So it's small group night. You guys are in your small groups. It's a longer small groups. You guys have already done some expectations, I would imagine, in your small groups. And now we're starting to dig into why small groups, what can this community be all about? To give you a glimpse into what the Cow community, what small group community can be all about, I'd like to tell you two very different stories from my own experience of a small group community. The first is maybe the worst, most unhealthy, discomfort, uncomfortable small group experience that I've ever had. One that really has stuck with me is one from when I was a freshman in high school. When I was a freshman in high school, my brother and I, we went to a camp in California called Forest Home. We didn't go with our church. It was just this thing that we just decided to do, just the two of us. We went to a camp not knowing anybody, which can be scary. And I know there's some of you guys who have come to Cow this year, maybe with just one friend, feeling like you don't know anybody. I get it. I get you. It can be so scary. So I went to this camp when I was 14 or 15. I went with my brother, and I kind of hung along with him. I stayed with him. He's 2 years older than me. We were really close friends. But when we got to camp, the first day was fine. I got to know the other kids in my cabin. They seemed okay. My brother was there with me. We hung out. We played some games. We got to know each other. But something happened during the next few days where my brother got really close with a few other kids in our cabin who were pretty cool. And what he did is he started kind of pushing me away. And because he was so excited about being with these other kids, he thought, I don't want to hang out with my little brother anymore. So he started not just excluding me, though he did exclude me. He started telling jokes at my expense. He started picking on me in front of other people to get people to laugh. He started actively, like, I would walk up and he would run away and they'd all kind of laugh and do something. And it was only a week long, but I promise, I tell you that week felt like one of the longest weeks of my life because I felt so alone. Because no one really took the time to get to know me, and my leaders were cool and they were nice to me and they kind of brought me along, but the other kids in my group, the other students, they made it so I didn't feel welcome. I didn't feel like I belonged. And that's, as an adult even, that stood with me as a hard small group community. Maybe the most healthy small group community I was ever a part of it started for me just about a year later. I was invited by another friend to his church small group community. It was a group kind of like Cow, where we gathered and then we split off to small groups. And again, I went as an individual. I knew my friend Taylor, but not really anybody else. But when I showed up to that church, when I showed up to that small group, the people were so intentional to invite me in. They drew me in to their group. They didn't just like treat me nice because it was a nice thing to do. They actually took the time to get to know me. They listened to my stories. They listened to who I was, what I liked. They cared about me. When I wasn't there, they noticed and they texted me. And that small group community became one of the most impactful, important communities of my entire childhood, adolescence. It was this really impactful community because even though they started really similar to my time at camp, when I got there, people drew me in. They opened their eyes to see me, to hear me, and they let me know I belonged. At Cal, all of us, we have an opportunity to kick off a new small group year tonight. You are sitting in a circle with your small group, and some of you know a lot of people, some of you know just a few people, but I want to tell you some of the secret sauce that will make it so your small group, no matter what, is awesome. One of the most simple things you can do is just welcome each other. Be nice to each other, be kind, listen to each other, see each other. Care when people aren't there. And this isn't just something I'm coming up with. This is not something that just adults say to you when you're a kid. Make sure you include everybody. No, this is actually something that's really important. This is something that's in the Bible. I have my Bible here, and I want to open up to the book of Ephesians chapter 4. This is a letter that Paul wrote to a church community, kind of like Cal. He's talking about the community aspect of the life of faith, and he says this. He says, I urge you to live lives worthy of the calling you have received. Live your lives worthy of the call that Jesus has on your lives. And he says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, and this is the line I want you to catch here. It says, bearing with one another in love. Bearing with one another in love. Sometimes it's helpful to read multiple translations of the same passage. This is a paraphrase by a guy named Eugene Peterson called The Message. He says this in Ephesians 4. He says, and mark that you do all this life together with humility and discipline, not in fits and starts, not kind of starting and stopping and starting and stopping. He says, but do it steadily. And he says this line, he says, pour yourself out for each other in acts of love, alert at noticing differences and quick at mending fences. We have an opportunity in our small groups to make them awesome simply by bearing with one another in love. Carry each other together in love. Be patient with each other. Some people, I promise you, are gonna get on your nerves. Some people, I promise you, are gonna like different things. They're gonna think some things are so cool that you don't care about at all. People are gonna have different backgrounds. People are gonna come from different places. We have 44 middle schools represented in our Cal community. There are gonna be people in your small group different than you. And that's okay. Notice those differences. Celebrate those differences, but let's carry each other forward. Let's bear with one another in love. And I promise you, if we carry each other forward, if we take the time to see each other, if we celebrate our differences and still march forward and walk forward together in love, we are going to have an awesome time in Cal, and you are going to have an awesome small group community. Let's do that together this year. I want you guys to go back to your small groups and talk together. What does it look like for us to bear with one another in love? Have a great conversation, guys.